A wealthy magnate pretended to be asleep to test the daughter of his black housekeeper, only to be shocked by her actions. The safe was left open, revealing stacks of cash that exceeded what most could earn in a lifetime. James Harper sat motionless in his luxurious leather chair, breathing steadily, eyes barely open, watching her every move. 6-year-old Lily, holding her mother Sarah's hand, entered the office. They had arrived for the evening cleaning shift, a routine they'd followed for 2 years at James's corporation. Lily wore tiny blue gloves, a thoughtful gift from Sarah to make her daughter feel helpful during school holidays. James had planned this moment with precision. After discovering his business partner had stolen $3 million, his trust in people was shattered. At 45, he'd built a financial empire, but now questioned if anyone was truly honest. The test was simple: leave the safe open, its riches in plain sight, and see if temptation would win. As Sarah dusted the bookshelves with focus, Lily, full of childlike curiosity, approached the desk where James feigned sleep. Her eyes sparkled at the sight of more money than she'd ever seen. James braced himself, expecting another disappointment. But what happened next left him frozen. Lily didn't touch the cash. Instead, she noticed the disorganized bills and began sorting them carefully, grouping them by denomination and stacking them with the precision of a young bookkeeper. Her small hands moved gently, as if handling something sacred. "Mommy," she whispered, "Mr. James's money was all messy. I fixed it, like you taught me with our coins at home." Sarah turned quickly, alarmed. "Lily, you mustn't touch the boss's things." "But it was messy, Mom. He'll be happy when he wakes up and sees it neat." James felt a rare lump in his throat, a wave of emotion he hadn't known in years. This child, who likely never held more than $20, had organized a fortune without taking a cent. More striking, she proudly told her mother, her honesty as clear as her innocence. Unbeknownst to James, this simple act of integrity from a 6-year-old was about to trigger a chain of events that would transform his life and reveal profound truths about prejudice, kindness, and the value of people in ways he never imagined. If you're wondering how a child can teach life-changing lessons to a billionaire, subscribe to the channel, as this story of transformation is just beginning, showing that the greatest wisdom often comes from the most unexpected places. Over the following weeks, James quietly observed Sarah and Lily. He learned Sarah worked exhausting double shifts, cleaning his company at night and a medical office by day. Lily tagged along, doing homework in waiting rooms or playing quietly while her mother worked. What struck James was Sarah's parenting. "We always return what isn't ours, even if no one's watching," he overheard her tell Lily. "Our integrity is worth more than any wealth." Sarah had grown up in foster care after losing her parents at 9, struggling to finish high school while working, but college was out of reach. At 22, she became pregnant with Lily, abandoned by the father upon the news. Since then, she'd raised her daughter alone, refusing aid she saw as charity. James secretly raised Sarah's pay, instructing HR to call it a job category adjustment. But his quiet kindness caught the wrong person's attention. Edward Thornton, the 50-year-old vice president of operations, born into privilege, noticed the salary increase during a board meeting. "James, why are we wasting money on cleaning staff, especially that one?" "Sarah's exceptional," James replied sharply. "Exceptional?" Edward scoffed. "James, you need to know where these people belong. Give them a little extra, and they'll soon demand the whole vault. It's just how they are." James's anger simmered, but he stayed composed. Edward, son of a company founder, held significant shares, and the board tolerated his bigoted views due to his financial influence. "Besides," Edward added, "she brings that kid here. It's unprofessional. What kind of mother drags a child to a corporate office? Clearly, she lacks a proper family." That night, James saw something infuriating. Edward, staying late, confronted Sarah in a hallway. "Listen up," he said menacingly. "I know you're getting more than you're worth. I don't know what you're doing to earn it, but it stops now." Sarah paled. "Sir, I don't understand." "Of course you don't. People like you never do. You take what you get and stay quiet. And get that kid out of here. This isn't a daycare." Lily cowered behind her mother, scared by his tone. Sarah shielded her daughter. "Sir, I'm just doing my job. Your job is to clean and stay invisible. Nothing more." From his office, James watched, feeling a righteous fury he hadn't known in years. Edward had crossed an unforgivable line. insulting Sarah and terrifying an innocent child whose only fault was accompanying her mother. That night, James resolved to act. Edward's true nature was exposed, and James had the means to respond. What Edward didn't know was that his venomous words were captured by the security system he approved to monitor staff. James wanted more than a recording. He wanted Edward to publicly unravel in a way that would bar him from business circles forever. A bold plan formed, not just to protect Sarah and Lily, but to turn Edward's arrogance against him. Each new slight from Edward fueled James's long-dormant sense of justice, ignited by the very wrongs he witnessed. Edward was unaware that every act of disdain was sealing his own downfall, and a billionaire committed to protecting an innocent family was the most formidable foe he'd ever face. The next day, James called Nathan Lee, a former FBI investigator skilled in corporate cases, who'd helped during the embezzlement scandal. "Nathan, I need you again," James said. "What's the issue now?" "Institutional racism and power abuse. I need hard evidence on Edward Thornton." Nathan chuckled. "That spoiled rich kid? Easier than taking candy from a toddler. Guys like him always leave a trail." Meanwhile, Edward escalated his campaign against Sarah. On Monday, he stormed into HR with a list of fabricated infractions. "This employee's consistently late. He lied to Emily Carter, the HR director. And that kid she brings is disruptive." Emily, a sharp woman in her 40s, sensed something off. Sarah had never been late in 2 years. "Mr. Thornton, I'll need to verify the records." "Records can be faked," Edward snapped. "I'm the vice president. My word should suffice." James observed via security cameras, capturing every word. The system Edward had installed to track productivity now documented his lies and abuses. On Wednesday, Edward went further, cornering Sarah in the parking lot as she arrived with Lily. "Listen," he said, blocking her path. "I know you're doing more than cleaning to get that raise. What services are you offering?" Sarah shook with anger and fear. "Sir, what you're suggesting is, I'm suggesting people like you have a price, and I'm curious what yours is." Lily whispered. "Mommy, why's that man so mean?" "Don't worry, sweetheart," Sarah replied with dignity, despite Edward's malice. "Some grown-ups are unhappy and try to make others feel the same." Edward sneered. "Unhappy? I've got more cash in my wallet than you'll see in your life. I should worry about what people like you do when you get too cozy." James reviewed the footage that night, his rage growing with each replay. Nathan delivered a dossier confirming Edward's history of targeting Black and Latino employees at past jobs. "Look here," Nathan said, pointing to documents. 3 labor lawsuits settled out of court. Always the same. Humiliation until the employee quits. Why no punishment? His father paid for silence and moved him to new companies when things got messy. Edward Thornton's a career predator. James pored over the report. Edward wasn't just prejudiced. He was a habitual abuser using his status to torment the vulnerable. "Nathan, I want everything. Calls, emails, social media, patterns, all of it." "You planning something big, James?" "I'm planning justice." On Thursday, Emily approached James privately. "Mr. Harper, Edward's pushing to fire Sarah without cause. He's claiming she shouldn't access admin areas after hours." "People like her?" James asked. Emily hesitated. "Sir, I suspect discrimination in his behavior." It was the opportunity James needed. "Emily, if you suspect bias, document it officially. Start an investigation. He's vice president, but I'm president. Record everything." That night, James advanced his plan, instructing IT to install extra microphones in areas where Edward intimidated staff under the guise of security upgrades. It was a digital trap. On Friday, alone in the office, Edward made a damning call. James heard it all. "Dad, that black cleaner's a problem. Use your contacts to create legal trouble for her. Theft charges, document issues, anything to make her quit." His father's voice replied, "Edward, aren't you overreacting over a cleaner? It's about principle, Dad. If we let these people get comfortable, they'll demand rights they don't deserve. Nip it in the bud." James recorded every word, feeling a grim satisfaction. Edward had just admitted to conspiracy and explicit racism. On Monday, Nathan arrived with a briefcase of evidence. "James, Edward's private social media is a supremacist manifesto. He's in closed groups mocking Black employees. Plus, he's used his father's clout to block Black and Latino candidates elsewhere. It's a 15-year pattern of discrimination." James reviewed screenshots of Edward's posts, like, keep those monkeys in line and show them who's boss early. Nathan, this is dynamite. There's more. He's planning a staged theft against Sarah this week, planting something valuable in her cleaning supplies for a public shaming. James's face paled. What? He'll plant an item, find it, call the police, and humiliate her. James realized Edward had misjudged his opponent, thinking he faced a careless boss and a helpless worker. He was walking into a trap 15 years in the making. James smiled coldly. Perfect. Let him try. The deeper he digs, the harder he falls. Edward didn't know every cruel move was being meticulously recorded by someone who de-perfected protecting the innocent, with limitless resources to ensure justice would be legendary. The next Tuesday, Edward executed his plan with the smugness of someone untouchable. At 8 p.m., as Sarah and Lily began their shift, he'd hidden a $15,000 Rolex in the cleaning cart. Perfect, he muttered, watching via cameras. I'll give her 15 minutes, then catch her in the act. Unbeknownst to him, James monitored from upstairs on high-resolution screens. Nathan, stationed in the parking lot with recording gear, was ready. 3 journalists, tipped off by James, waited outside. Nathan, he planted the watch, James radioed. Activate extra recordings. Confirmed. All hidden cameras are rolling. Angles he doesn't even know exist. At 8:20, Edward strode into the office where Sarah cleaned, Lily doing homework nearby. He brought 2 guards, feigning a routine check. Mrs. Sarah, he said with mock politeness, I need to inspect your supplies. We've had theft reports. Sarah paused, puzzled. Mr. Thornton, I don't understand. Standard procedure, he lied, heading to the cart. Well, what's this? He pulled out the Rolex with dramatic flair. Sarah Wilson, this $15,000 watch vanished from Mr. Harper's office yesterday. Sarah blanched. I've never seen it before. Sure, it just appeared in your cart, Edward sneered. Lily stood, scared. Mommy, what's happening? Quiet, kid, Edward snapped. Your mom's coming with us to explain how valuables end up in her stuff. A guard dialed the police, per Edward's orders. We're reporting a theft in progress. Then James appeared at the door with Nathan and 3 strangers. Edward, James said, his voice chillingly calm. Hang up that phone. James, good you're here. We caught your employee stealing your watch. James laughed coldly. My watch? I've worn an Apple Watch for 5 years. Never owned a Rolex. Edward's confidence faltered. What are you talking about? We recorded you planting that watch, bought this morning, in Sarah's cart to frame her. We have the receipt. Nathan displayed footage on a tablet. Edward planting the watch, clear from multiple angles. Angle 1, Nathan said. Angle 2. Angle 3. Your face, checking for witnesses. Edward stammered, but James cut him off. There's more. Nathan, show him our collection. Nathan projected a file. Edward's racist posts, like, keep those monkeys in their place. Sarah gasped. Edward lunged for the screen, but James blocked him. Here's your call plotting legal trouble for Sarah, Nathan continued. And your confession, it's about keeping these people down. Where'd you get this? Edward sweated. Your own security system, James replied. You approved it, remember? Including your call to your father conspiring against an innocent employee. A journalist spoke up. Laura Bennett, Channel 7 News. Mr. Thornton, care to comment on this evidence of systemic racism and conspiracy? Edward realized the trap. You can't use this. I have rights. You do, James said. The right to silence, because everything you say will be used against you, not just by the police, already coming for conspiracy and defamation, but by the press, the board, and Sarah's lawyers. Nathan added, we've got 15 years of your discrimination, 3 hushed lawsuits, 8 minority employees harassed until they quit, and your parking lot threats and vile insinuations to Sarah. Another reporter stepped forward. Mr. Thornton, how do you answer accusations of using your position to target minorities? Edward tried to flee, but Nathan blocked him. Oh, and your bank account's frozen. Your family's seen the evidence. The board's meeting tomorrow to fire you and Sue. Sarah, stunned, spoke. Mr. Harper, did you know this would happen? I knew Edward was prejudiced, but not that he'd frame you. When I found out, I couldn't stand by. Lily approached. Mr. James, will the mean man stop scaring Mommy? James knelt. Sweetheart, he'll never bother you again. Edward, desperate, tried one last plea. James, we can settle this like gentlemen. My family shares, were bought out 20 minutes ago, James cut in. You've ruined your career and your family's wealth. Police arrived, cuffing Edward for conspiracy, harassment, racism, and defamation. He glared at Sarah with raw hatred, but his fate was sealed. This won't hold, he spat. My family's connected. Nathan corrected. Your father disowned you after the evidence hit the media. A reporter approached Sarah. Ms. Wilson, how does it feel to be vindicated? Sarah looked at Lily, then James. I feel gratitude for those who fight for justice when it's easier to look away. As Edward was led away, James knew he faced prison and ruin. His reputation was shattered, his family had abandoned him, and his career was a cautionary tale. Sarah, James said, how about a promotion? As Sarah smiled through tears and Lily clapped, justice had been served so thoroughly it would echo for generations, proving that underestimating decency is a fatal error. 6 months later, Sarah walked Harper Enterprises halls as HR director, a role James created after learning of her unfinished business degree. Her first act was a scholarship program for employees' kids, with Lily as its first recipient. Mommy, can I show Mr. James my drawing? 7-year-old Lily asked, now at home in the office. She attended a top private school, dreaming of becoming a lawyer to help others like James help them. James's company earned accolades for diversity, a national model for hiring Black executives. The Fair Chance program, inspired by Sarah's case, aided over 200 families. Edward, meanwhile, served 18 months for racism and conspiracy. Released, he found no reputable firm would hire him. His wife took half his assets in a divorce. His kids disowned him, changing their names. Once a vice president, he now sold used cars, earning less yearly than Sarah did in 3 months. His racist posts haunted him online, blocking any redemption. Dad James, Lily said at dinner in the home James bought them. My teacher asked us to write about heroes. Can I write about you? James teared up. Lily, your mom's the hero, teaching you honesty outweighs wealth. Sarah squeezed his hand. No, the hero's the one who fought when ignoring was easier. A week later, CNN's David Ramirez called. Mr. Harper, we want a story on your company's inclusion model post-Thornton. The primetime feature showed Lily playing where it began, Sarah thriving, and James explaining how a 6-year-old reshaped his view of justice. Edward watched from his tiny apartment, drinking alone, his old life flourishing without him. Colleagues had blocked him. His racist posts resurfaced endlessly. 3 years later, at Lily's 10th birthday, James announced the Lily Wilson Educational Fund, offering college scholarships to Black youth for 50 years. Lily hugged him. Thank you for believing in us. That day, Edward was rejected for a gas station job after a Google search revealed his infamy. His fall became a business school case study on how prejudice destroys careers. James saw true revenge wasn't Edward's ruin, but building something greater. His company became a beacon of justice, creating opportunities for hundreds, proving integrity breeds prosperity. A 6-year-old's honesty taught me that love and action defeat hatred, James said at Harvard. Edward tried to crush us, but he lifted us to heights we never imagined. Today, Lily attends a Harvard-bound prep school, Sarah holds an MBA and national HR acclaim, and James is honored for advancing corporate racial equality. Edward lives alone, working odd jobs, a footnote in a story of decency's triumph. True justice wasn't his punishment, but proving kindness, backed by resolve, builds legacies that inspire for generations. If this story moved you, subscribe for more tales showing goodness prevails, even against the odds.